Look at this living room. 3 cars are parked in the driveway outside. Inside, 3 purses sit undisturbed in a neat row on a sunken step. Down the hall, the beds appear completely slept in. By the front door, a small Yorkshire Terrier named Cinnamon is waiting anxiously for an owner to return. 3 adult women lived in this Springfield, Missouri home: 47-year-old Cheryl Levitt, her 19-year-old daughter Susie Streeter, and 18-year-old Stacy McCall. On the morning of June 7, 1992, all 3 were gone. There was no blood, no ransacked furniture, and no sign of a struggle. It is exactly this lack of disruption, the pristine state of the house, that makes their disappearance logically impossible. Moving 3 adults against their will should leave a chaotic physical trail. Here, the house was frozen in complete normalcy. The evening prior gave no hint of danger. Stacy and Susie had just walked across the stage to receive their high school diplomas. They spent the rest of the night celebrating, hopping safely between local graduation parties. Around 2:15 a.m., the 2 friends made a last-minute decision. Instead of driving out of town as originally planned, they headed back to Susie's house. Cheryl was already there, fast asleep in her room. Controlling one person in a quiet suburban neighborhood is difficult. Subduing 3 adults simultaneously, preventing any of them from crying out, and extracting them to an unknown location without waking a single neighbor defies standard criminal logistics. Executing a mass extraction with 0 physical disruption demands a level of flawless precision rarely seen outside of fiction, or it requires an astounding stroke of luck. The next morning, a friend named Janelle Kirby drove over with her boyfriend to check on the girls. As they approached the front door, they noticed the globe of the porch light was shattered, scattering glass across the concrete. Wanting to be helpful, Janelle's boyfriend grabbed a broom and swept the broken shards into the trash. In a matter of seconds, he unknowingly discarded potential fingerprints, trace blood, and the only physical evidence of an entry point struggle. While inside the empty house, the telephone rang. Janelle picked it up, only to hear an unidentified male voice making obscene, disturbing remarks. Assuming it was a crude prank, she hung up, severing what might have been a direct line to the suspect. Shortly after, Stacy's mother, Janice McCall, arrived. Frantic to locate her daughter, she immediately went to the home's answering machine, desperate for any indication of where they'd gone. She hit play and listened to a highly unusual anonymous voicemail stored on this microcassette. But in her panicked state, she pressed the wrong button. The audio was permanently deleted. Throughout the morning, as worry set in, between 10 and 20 friends and family members wandered through the rooms. They touched surfaces, used the bathroom, and paced the halls, completely obliterating any original footprints or scent trails. By the time Springfield police officially arrived, the house was forensically barren. Driven entirely by love and concern, the victim's own social circle had sterilized the crime scene before the investigation could even begin. Stripped of physical evidence, investigators were left examining these mundane, everyday belongings. They had to shift their entire strategy toward behavioral profiling and criminal patterns, looking for meaning in the items left behind. This approach quickly surfaced a man named Robert Craig Cox, a convicted kidnapper living in Springfield at the time. His initial alibi for that night completely fell apart. Cox later claimed he knew the women were dead, but stated he would never reveal the location of their bodies until his mother passed away. Years later, an intense local rumor gained traction, suggesting the victims were buried beneath the south parking garage at Cox Hospital. An independent mechanical engineer even used ground-penetrating radar to identify 3 distinct anomalies beneath the concrete. But authorities refused to excavate the site, and they have never formally charged Cox. They simply cannot justify the legal hurdles. There is 0 forensic material from the house. No DNA, no fibers, no fingerprints, to link any suspect or location to the actual abduction. It is a cascading failure of evidence. Without the anchor of a preserved crime scene, every promising profile and anonymous tip inevitably hits a legal brick wall. Today, Cheryl Levitt, Susie Streeter, and Stacy McCall are legally declared dead. Their final moments remain frozen in the summer of 1992. Even as tips still trickle into the Springfield Police Department over 30 years later. Criminal investigations require a cold, sterile isolation of facts, but human nature is chaotic and immediate. When someone we love doesn't answer the door, our first instinct is to rush in and search, not to secure a perimeter. Whoever walked into that house did not necessarily execute an intricate, flawless abduction. Their mistakes, their physical presence, and their forgotten traces were masked by the frantic actions of people trying to help. The tragedy of the Springfield Three leaves us with a difficult reality. The most impenetrable mysteries rarely stem from criminal brilliance. Often, the truth is simply swept away by accident before anyone realizes it is gone.